let's talk about this. We thought New York was doomed. California could make one of the worst decisions ever, and that's saying a lot given the current governor of that state. So dollar store Gavin Newsom, Eric Swalwell, wants to be the next governor of California. One is a slimy liar who worships China, and the other is a slimy liar who worships Chinese spies. Kind of makes sense, right? So something I like to do when someone as corrupt and dishonest as Eric Fang Fang, remember Fang Fang was a Chinese spy that he was caught sleeping with when the Chinese spy was working in Dianne Feinstein's California senator's office. Swalwell was married, couldn't keep it, where he's supposed to keep it, and he slept with Fang Fang. Anyway, Eric Fang Fang Swalwell tries to scam voters into giving him more power is to remind those voters of just how disgusting they are. And as always, a Bolling promise, we come with receipts. Ever notice that the ones who fight the hardest to destroy President Trump are the ones who are guilty of some of the worst crimes? Think about it. Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, the entire January 6th sham committee. Those who themselves have committed crimes tend to go after the president the hardest, maybe to divert attention, maybe say, hey, look what he is doing. You'll figure out what I have been doing. And one of those is Chinese spy, Fang Fang, Congress boy, Eric Swalwell. He never, ever faced any charges for treason for his Fang Fang episodes, clearly protected by Nancy Pelosi and the deep state charlatans. But I do recall when Nick Sorter sent the little China doll into a panic. Remember this golden moment right here.
So, Congressman, you referred to Elon Musk as a fascist at some point and alluded to him being a national security threat. Do you see that more of a national security threat, you sleeping with a Chinese spy, than transparency in the federal government? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? What's Fang Fang think of that?
What are you doing? This is ridiculous. So the Golden State Warriors, then.
Go down. What's fascistic about exposing government corruption?
Well, that was pretty uncomfortable for Swalwell, to say the least. You could almost see the panic not too far behind the surface when he was asked about calling Elon Musk a fascist when he's one of the people who slept with the Chinese spy, Fang Fang. Amazing stuff right there. Although now he's being investigated for alleged mortgage and tax fraud related to his $1.2 million home in D.C. Again, these Congress people never had any other jobs. They come to D.C. and they're buying $1 million homes like it's water. Clearly, this sent Swalwell into a tizzy.
My question is, will you, Director, recuse yourself, yes or no, from investigating or making decisions about the 60 individuals, including myself, that you identified as government gangsters? Yes or no?
Time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may respond if he would like.
And the answer was no, as I heard.
Correct. Okay.
Well, nice try, Congressman Fang Fang. Beg some more. You see, this is why these weasels coming after President Trump and MAGA so hard, well, they need to distract America from their own lies, indiscretions, illegal activities. So they deflect. Listen to Swalwell, who is not only still in Congress, but he also sits on some of the most important congressional committees and now wants to run the state of California. I guess espionage matters unless you're Eric Swalwell. And yet, listen to him tell outright lies about President Trump in 2019.
You're a member of the Judiciary. Do you believe the president right now has been an agent of the Russians?
Yes, I think there's more evidence than he is. Yes, and I think all the arrows point in that direction. And I haven't seen a single piece of evidence that he's not.
An agent like in the 1940s where we had people who are Reds, to use an old term, like that. In other words, working for a foreign power.
He's working on behalf of the Russians, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of interesting, right? See, lies to distract America from his very own dark truths. And now this guy wants to be California governor. And not just that, he clearly wants to follow in his potential predecessor's footsteps of stealing elections. Looks like Swalwell has found a new way to cheat. And all you really need to do is have a SIM card and use it the right way.
I want us to be able to vote by phone. I think every Californian
vote by phone.
Vote by phone. Yeah, if we can do our taxes, do our make our healthcare appointments, make essentially do your banking online, you should be able to vote by phone. Make it safe, make it secure, but it's actually already happening all over the United States. I want us to be a blue state that doesn't do just a little bit better than like Georgia or Alabama when it comes to like voting access. I want us to max out democracy.
Max out democracy. Are you kidding with this, Swalwell? How much you dislike this guy, by the way? And who can forget this buffoonery of Swalwell repeating the party line of dramatizing the events of January 6th while insulting the thousands of victims of some of the most heinous acts ever committed against Americans.
What are the 3 most important dates in American history? December 7, 1941, September 11, and January 6. The last 2, I didn't even have to give you the years because they are seared into our memories. And because we saw them with our own eyes. And there's 3 days in American history that are the most important. December 6, 1941, when Pearl Harbor was bombed, September 11, and January 6. I don't have to tell you the years of the last 2 because they're seared in our memory, but we also saw them with our own eyes.
Thousands of Americans died. Thousands of Americans died in Pearl Harbor. Thousands of Americans died at Pearl Harbor in 9/11. January 6th, only one, and then she was killed, and she was one of the protesters. And I'm saying that word the right way, you jerk. I mean, this guy has called Nancy Pelosi his greatest mentor.
I will say the best mentor I had was Nancy Pelosi, not necessarily on messaging, but just on like wielding power. She knew how to flex. That woman knew how to flex. She's one of the greatest leaders I think we'll have had in our country in 100 years.
Well, here's Swalwell taking time out of his very, very busy schedule of cringy TikTok videos and Chinese spies to make this important statement.
So what can you do at home? It's No King's Day this Saturday. 2,000 rallies across America. Americans need to show up, because if we don't show up, democracy dies.
And yet somehow this guy knows something about democracy. All he does is toe the party line of inciting violence against the president and MAGA and anyone who identifies as a Republican.
Donald Trump is America's Hitler.
Remember when they said no Democrat has ever called the president Hitler? They said that. No Democrat, right? Right? Not a single one. Right, Democrats? You know, there's this kind of poetic irony of Swalwell taking the place of fellow Democrat slimeball Gavin Newsom, who's clearly gearing up for a presidential run in 2028. Can you imagine 2 more corrupt or less self-aware corrupt leftist China lovers vying for higher office as if they're not some of the worst perpetrators of their own party? I already sent several warnings to the city of New York, warned them about the dangers of electing someone who aligns himself with jihadists and who adores the elements of socialism that have killed economies and whole populations throughout history. But there's no lower than a treasonous liar with no soul, with no love for his country, running one of our most important states and economies. From incessant homelessness and drug-ravaged streets to driving up his state's recession, hypocrisy on COVID measures and lockdowns, total lack of preparedness for disastrous wildfires, and then lying about it through his veneers. By the way, there's not enough time to go over just how disastrous Gavin Newsom has already been for the state of California. But I can assure you Californians of this. This is true. A Governor Eric Swalwell will only further drive your state into the ground, into the dirt, and you'll get exactly what you voted for. More misery, more pain, like New York is about to experience. More warnings to come, my friends. More warnings to come. Keep watching this show.